Hello, my name's Justin Urquhart-Stewart and I'm from Regionally, and welcome to our next little talk about, well, another exciting business coming through onto the Regionally platform. The great excitement I love about Regionally is actually dealing in the regions with growing businesses. So on that basis, therefore, it's a great pleasure to actually introduce Alex Fox. Well, first of all, just tell us about the business. Tell us about the background of it, your team, and where you've got to now.
First and foremost, it was formed in early 2020, really as an acquisition project aimed at targeting the plumbing and heating businesses which principally serve the new build housing sector in the UK. And obviously, with FNP acting as the acquisition vehicle going forward, any acquisition we make is going to become a subsidiary to the holding company.
Okay, hang on a second. FNP, what does that stand for?
It's actually an abbreviation of our second names, Fox, Nickerson, Paget. It was Ian and Michael, two of the others that joined from the get-go. Okay, it's always nice to know that sort of background to it.
Yeah. So why this particular area? What did you notice about plumbing and this area?
So looking at different industries that we could have done something like this in, it just plumbing and heating, amongst a few others, it just appealed to me for so many reasons. I think the industry's done particularly well coming out of any crisis or recession. Both sides of the industry, whether it's the household part of the residential market or the house builder side of the residential market, they tend to come back quite strong and recover. So that was very appealing, bearing in mind we started this as COVID was unfolding.
So you're bringing your sort of business acumen to this, but also your civil engineering knowledge. But presumably you're actually buying businesses which are probably good at their businesses, but probably not able to grow themselves. They can't really manage their growth.
In fact, the ones that we typically target, we cast a really wide net for the pipeline, for the deal sourcing. Now, we try and speak to as many businesses as possible, because if we're looking to make 10 to 15 acquisitions, we need to speak to as many as possible, so that when we agree those 10 to 15, we know that they're some of the best. That's the only way we can do it. Yep. It's exactly what we've done. It's exactly what we will continue to do.
And you're prepared to turn away ones which you don't think will fit?
We have to, yeah. We have to. I think on your question, can they grow? The management teams that we end up negotiating with, or at least wanting to negotiate with, tend to be some of the best in the industry. They've been through thick and thin, getting their businesses from almost sometimes nothing to $500,000, $1 million in profits, whether that's sometimes within the space of five to 10 years, which is tremendous. So they are highly experienced. They've got a fantastic track record, some of these teams.
So it's not a new start to that, you're buying ready-made businesses.
We are, but I think it's important to emphasize that the whole point of us getting involved is that we've found so many fantastic businesses where the management team they're open to growing, but they're comfortable where they are. They're taking out £400,000 in dividends a year. Right. They're quite comfortable. There's no need to expand. But when we come along, they're open-minded. They realise that there's a transitional exit for them, where it could be quite lucrative for either them and their family. We get to keep the integrity of their business and their brand that they've fought so hard for. Yeah. And they are willing to expand as part of the group. And I think that's where we come in, because our team, we're really just getting involved in the next stage of the life cycle of the business.
You're the catalyst for the next stage of growth.
We are, yeah.
So what's the structure you put in place to manage this, a business where all these ones you're trying to pull in together?
When you talk about day-to-day management and operations within the businesses, day-to-day decisions, we really want to keep that largely decentralized. Whereas, I think further to that, we've made sure that when we're going and approaching any of these businesses, we promise them that even though there's 5 or 6 guys at head office at FNP, we don't want to be the big brother. We don't want to come in, maybe like a private equity firm would, and impose our own ideas with absolutely no alternative. that's the last thing we want to do. We really want to cooperate with them and collaborate with them going forward.
And this is a key moment. I know you mentioned private equity. You're looking more longer term than private equity, who would look to try and short term boost the value. You're looking at the longer term value by using their expertise.
We are open-minded to any kind of investor that comes along and says they're interested. But first and foremost, it's less about who they are. It's more about, do they share the same values and principles that we've tried to instill in the project and what these businesses already have. I mean, the businesses that they're either highly entrepreneurial or family run.
Yep.
And really the last thing they need is someone with a heavy hand coming in and changing things and telling them what to do. The last thing they need is to be micromanaged.
No.
They need to be given the freedom to grow.
Yeah.
And the group,
It's very refreshing. So how do these businesses vary? Are they all the same, or do they have different specializations?
They do vary. I think predominantly we're looking for businesses where they predominantly serve anywhere from 5 to 10 house builders. That can range from small regional house builders, developers, all the way up to blue chip companies nationwide, usually within a 60-mile radius, and they provide central heating installations, pipework installations, and also now we're getting to the point where we're seeing ground and air source heat pump installations too. But
I mean, the technology is now changing, and more to the point, the legislation, the rules, the regulation, the environmental issues means that these companies are going to have to go through quite a significant change.
It's interesting because people expect it to affect the industry much more than it will. A number of the businesses we've already spoken to have already installed heat pumps. The only problem is heat pumps, the cost hasn't come down sufficiently enough yet so that they are widely adopted by all house builders.
Yeah.
At the moment, there's really no push until 2025 for them to begin phasing out new installations of traditional gas boilers in new builds.
Yeah.
Until then, and even then, there's going to be a longer transition. So it's going to be a slow burner.
Yeah.
And in which case, it gives our businesses plenty of time, if they don't already have the training programs in place, to make sure that the fitters are...
This is actually a great opportunity, all this change going on, because you
Yes.
can bring to them things they probably couldn't do themselves. One of the bits, obviously, it stands out about FNP is your regionalisation. It's sort of northeast, northwest, and Yorkshire regions. Why there?
Well, it's funny, I've probably got a bias because I'm from Yorkshire myself.
Surely not.
But I mean, I love the place. But I think it's amazing to us because we wanted to make an acquisition in each of these 3 northern regions, as you can see as this bundle, northeast, Yorkshire, northwest, in the first round. Obviously, London attracts so much capital, but it's just amazing to us that the north, in particular, gets overlooked. And you find, we've now found plenty of businesses where just because of the way they are, they're overlooked. They're fantastic track records, great management teams, all you could ask for, really, for wanting to embark on a project like this. So to us, looking at these regions, it appears to be a no-brainer to really focus on.
I would agree. Over the past few years, we've seen how everything's been drawn to London, and London is another country. And all the regions, I think, have lost out. But particularly, as you highlight, in the north there. So in terms of your team, the core team inside the head office, how have you split them up? What are their roles?
Yeah, I think if we talk about their roles, so Ian Nickerson, he is an exec director. He's been on board from day one, first person who joined, and he brings with him 45 years worth of experience in multi-service contracting. I can elaborate more on that in a moment, but he, aside from his primary role as really being a general manager to the team, he will be leading the team when it comes to identifying opportunities to really diversify our service offering, because remember, we will be able to provide full plumbing and heating services through these businesses, but really there's nothing stopping us from looking at adding other complementary services into the mix.
Which they can use.
Which they can, if we're talking about house builders will need everything from electrical contractors, roofing, insulation. It just so happens that we focused our core on plumbing and heating, but really if it was a conversation to be had with the investor and our team, we're open to the idea that it could be diversified.
Your background was trained as a civil engineer.
Yes, yeah.
But you decided that wasn't going to be the career for you.
Yeah.
Why not?
I actually always wanted to get into finance, really. And this was something to bridge the gap, because I figured I wanted to remain in construction. I wanted to do something entrepreneurial, and this, at the start of the pandemic, it would have been incredibly difficult to pursue a career. So this seemed like a perfect way for me to build a team and do something highly entrepreneurial. Yeah. And I'm so glad I did it, because it's worked out tremendously well so far.
Well done. So tell me about the rest of the team and their backgrounds. Your core group.
Michael, his role will be CFO, COO. He's held a number of these positions over the years. Highly experienced guy. He started as an accountant at Price Waterhouse, since left, and he's been involved in a whole range of industries. Perfect for us. And he has been involved in over 15 acquisitions, I believe. David Barone, who was a later addition, but he's joined as chairman. He has a distinguished investment banking background. He's really, his role in the team will be to lead us in terms of the capital raise strategy, but also in developing these investor relationships, hopefully, as we progress through the project, and potentially as more investors join the project. And he started at SG Warburg, later went to ABN AMRO, MD, and has since really, as leaving there, and I think 0809, he launched his own advisory firm where he's had the chance to work with his investor base that he's accumulated over the years, whether that's family offices, high net worths, etc., financial institutions, and he's got a really interesting background of experience, because he's involved in anything from startups to acquisitions in real estate, infrastructure.
Well, a key element of your business plan is actually these further acquisitions. It always looks good on paper. Yeah. Acquisitions can be really complicated in terms of, well, one of the words you used earlier, getting the right culture, people getting the right feeling they get the right reward for their efforts. What experience does the team have in actually building these acquisitions into a unified group?
Oh, in terms of acquisition experience, it's probably the one area where we certainly don't lack. I think all four guys, if we're referring to Ian, Michael, Guy, and David Barone, all of them have been there and got the T-shirt, so to speak. I mean, to give you some examples, Ian led as chief executive a number of buyouts and joint ventures internationally with Bilfinger Salamis. Guy has been involved in, I believe, dozens of acquisitions for much larger firms, construction firms in the UK. I think to name some highlights, during his time at HomeServe, when he was appointed COO of their emergency services division, he was part of the team which was responsible for recovering that division and taking it from, I believe, 300 million in revenue closer to 500 million in revenue within a few years, predominantly through acquisition.
So the plan to go from here is to make further acquisitions, I assume. And so how much capital are you looking to raise on this occasion? Well,
in terms of the financial highlights, we're looking for a sum of £7 million for the first round. And we're aiming to split that up with a £5.5 million equity investment, which will purchase 50% of FNP, the holding company, for either the investors or one investor that takes the whole lot, and together with a £1.5 million loan over the 5 years. And essentially the EBITDA in year one is expected to be roughly 1.8 million. Year 5 expected to rise to 3.3 million. And with this, we're purchasing these businesses on a multiple of 6, these 3 that we've currently targeted. And I think across the board, we're really looking at multiples of 5 or 6 at the very most, sticking to that. And we believe that as we scale, we will be able to generate some arbitrage on the exit multiple if we are to reach that 150 million pound revenue target that we have in mind. And obviously hopefully exit a multiple closer to 8 or 9 times EBITDA.
So the business then grows on accordingly. And is the idea it grows from those 3 regions and goes national, or how are you going to try and manage this?
Yeah, we will have a regional anchor strategy. So we will be looking to make an acquisition in each of these 5 regions. So all of the northern regions, West and East Midlands as well.
Right.
We're going to accelerate organic growth and obviously retain key management in each of these businesses as best we can. And with that, there'll be an M&A strategy. We're looking to continue to make acquisitions in each region, treat them as separate hubs, if you like, seeing as that they only really operate and bid for contracts within a 60-mile radius of their head office.
Yep.
So it's important to distinguish them. With that, we can obviously leverage the scale of these regional anchors UK-wide, where our team will be heavily involved in driving operational efficiencies into the business, working with the management team as a means of supporting all the free cash flow investments that we'll be looking to make.
Yep.
And obviously critically holding margin.
So as an investor, I expect you still to be there in 5 to 7 years' time, you and the team.
Absolutely, yeah.
Because you're going to be vital to the value of this.
Oh, absolutely. This is what we don't want the sale process to take 2 or 3 years.
Yeah.
There's going to have to be a transition depending on who that buyer is. So whether some of our team have to stay on beyond that is something we'll have to wait and see.
Who are the competitors?
There are a number of competitors. I think the one that sticks out is probably Avonside, who've done a terrific job really of growing really as a conglomerate, starting off as roofing contractors. They've moved into plumbing and heating, electrical services, which is something that I've told you we would be open to looking at. There are not lots of mid-market players in the sector, which is why there's such a great opportunity for someone like us with a project like this to come in with the right approach and really stamp our ground and establish ourselves. Yeah.
But what motivates you? What gets you up in the morning to actually get excited and saying, come on, this is going to be another success?
The success of this project will be down to the people that are in it. And that it's wholeheartedly true. And I think from beginning this project to now, having the chance to work with not only our team but also the businesses that we've approached, we meet some fantastic people in the industry, and it really is a pleasure to work with them in the project. And I think that's what gets me up every morning. It's a thrill to go to work, so to speak. And I can speaking on behalf of the rest of the team, I know that they are really enjoying the project. Yeah.
So take me through in the next few months. What happens? We have the capital raise. You're going to be doing the deals. This is all going to take another year or so?
If we assume we could complete this fundraise either by the end of the year or in the first quarter of next year, I think that's the general consensus at the moment. That would be terrific. I think in terms of timings, we have a pipeline of opportunities ready to go. We have interest from other businesses. The discussions are all at different stages. And I think what we would always say is if we complete this fundraise, it's going to take another 3 to 6 months for us to be in a position where we have heads of terms signed, ready to put in front of investors again. Because we're not looking to go hammer and tong at this. We really want to take quite a patient approach. And like I said, if we're going to do 2 to 3 deals a year, which is the ambition, it's the best thing to do is to approach as many businesses as possible. Because only then you know that those 2 or 3 are some of the best, and only then can you be sure of that.
Alex, that's great, thank you. That was Alex Fox, and the co-founder of FNP Group. And I think this is actually a very exciting business for various reasons. A, there are businesses that already exist, they've got a track record. B, you can see the logic as to why this would succeed, bringing together businesses that don't necessarily have the economies of scale to develop, or necessarily always the expertise to the next stage, but also bringing together a small team with a very, very strong culture as to the standard and ethic as to how and why the business should operate. So I hope that gives you an idea of what FNP are like. Please have a look to the more details of the offering, and please do also send through any questions you've got, and I'm sure Alex will be happy to answer those. In the meantime, may I wish you every success for your investing. Look forward, please, for more information coming from regionally, and please do ask more questions about FNP. In the meantime, Alex, thank you very much indeed.
Thank you very much.
Pleasure to meet you.
You too.